Welcome to my deck profile for Nekroz. I'm going to be explaining some of the card choices and why I chose that. So as all of you know, Nekroz core cards, basically Shurit, Unicorn, and Brionac are all on the ban list right now. And so this deck hasn't seen that much competitive plays ever since 2015, end of 2015. I've always tried to make this deck work, and as far as I know, this build is one of my favorite. It's fun. With this build, it is possible to actually Trish your opponent twice per turn. And that usually wouldn't work because Trishula has a hard once per turn. But I actually incorporated some tuners so I can get the actual Synchro Trishula out. So I could do the Synchro Trishula and then I could do the Nekroz Trishula. So let's get started. So I'm first going to talk about the Nekroz cores. So of course, we need to play 3 Valkyries. As of right now, because what I just said, Shurit, Brio, and Unicorn are all on the ban list, this card is basically your only way to compete in the meta right now. Because he's able to just discard himself by banishing another Nekroz card in the graveyard, and you can end the battle phase. And his second effect also lets you tribute to draw 2 card. So that second effect is actually going to become even more relevant when the Devil Ritual comes out, because when you special summon out the 2 Devil Ritual and you summon out this guy, you can basically tribute those 2 to get 2 free draws. So that's the reason why I play 2 of him. He'll get better when Devil Ritual comes out, and he's already good right now. So that's why you need to play 3 of him. So next up, we play 2 Trishula. I don't play 3, obviously not, because honestly I feel like 2 already bricks sometimes because we don't have access to Shurit. But with this build, I actually make use of both of them really often, and it never really bricks because his second effect is that you can actually discard him to prevent any effect that targets a Nekroz. You can just discard this and negate the effect. So his first effect is actually pretty good too, can sometimes protect a Nekroz. So 2 is just a perfect number. And so 1 Brio, he's your only searcher of the deck, besides Manju, and I'm gonna go through some of the other cards like Geldogra afterwards. Basically, he searches out any of your Nekroz cards. If you want a Nekroz spell, you just search out Colossalus, Clausulus, and Clausulus will search out any Nekroz spell for you. So he basically accesses all of your Nekroz cards for you, and I believe that's why he's on the ban list, because he's really consistent. With 1 Unicorn, this is basically, I guess, one of the best card as of now in this meta, because he's basically a skill drain for your extra deck. And when he's out, it's really hard for your opponent to deal with it because his body is 23, which is not too bad. And you could also use Valkyries to protect it, or Gungnir. I don't play Gungnir in this build, but there's that option. But basically, if they try to run over it, you discard a Valk and you end battle phase. They can't deal with this. So they'll have to deal with it with either a spell non-targeting, because if they do target, and if you have Trish, you can also negate that. So he's basically the best card right now against the meta. And lastly, we have 3 Clausulus. Right now, he's really important not only for his discarding effect to fetch for a Nekroz spell, but his level 3 is actually pretty relevant. I'll explain that further afterwards. But his on-field effect is actually pretty good too, because he can just on either player's turn negate an effect on an extra deck monster, and you can also make the attack equal to 0. So if someone tries to attack you and you activate, you could actually make them basically lose all of their attack, and he won't be able to beat over a 23 defense. So this card is pretty good. Next off, I want to talk about the engine that I play to make this deck much better. So first of all, I play 2 Gale Dogra. So basically what he does is, you pay 3,000 light point, and he dumps your Arc Light to the graveyard, and you can immediately search, and you can basically do it twice per turn, because it's not limited to once per turn. Some people may think you pay 6,000 life point to search for 2, but it doesn't really matter, because of this build. If I'm able to actually pass through both of these, I'll most likely win the duel, and I'll explain this further. So that's what 2 is for. Some people play 3. I just play 2 because I don't really want to see it all the time. Because once you use Geldogra once, if you have another one in your hand, it's basically a dead card. So I play 2. And next off, I play the Herald of Perfection. I'm sorry for the mismatch. I tried to find one that are ultra rare, but I couldn't, so I ended up getting a ghost rare instead. I should have two of ghost rare. But I really like the ultra rare because you can see it better, much better than this ghost rare. But yeah, he basically discards any fairy and negates any effect. He's really good. The only problem with this is in my build, I don't really play that much fairy. The only other fairy that I really play is Cyber Angel Benton and Manju. So it's not as good as a pure Herald, but it's always good to still have Herald on field. If I have one or two, I can negate once or twice per turn, which is still pretty good. And I play 3 Cyber Angel Benton. He's basically what keeps this deck field with ammo. Every time you tribute it, you basically get another search. And she's really good because you can search for Manju too, and then if you didn't normal summon this turn, which happens a lot of the times, you basically get to use her, ritual summon one of your monsters, so it can either be Herald of Perfection, or, as I said, Clausulus, level 3 is really important because you can get Trish out with Benton. So you usually ritual summon with Benton, you search Manju, and then normal summon Manju to search another one, so that's like a +2 already. So she's really good in this deck, and she's basically one of the reasons why this deck is able to keep going in terms of card advantage. So I play 3 of her. So as I said, I play 3 Manju, and basically Manju is able to search for any card in this deck. Basically, almost every single card in this deck is ritual and ritual spells. So it's a good card. And Benton is able to search for this. Okay. Finally, we have this Archlord Christia. I see a lot of people play this in Cyber Angel and Herald Perfection, but I decided to actually add this here too because if I can get if I can get Herald of Perfection out with Christia, you're basically locking your opponent. If you have Vulcan in hand, they can't even beat over it. So they can't activate effect, they can't special summon, they can't beat over. This is why I said Gildogra doesn't really matter, because if you have Gildogra, Christia, and Herald Perfection, most likely they'll try to attack your Gale, but if you have Vulk, you can end the battle phase. So that's why this is really good. So on to the spell cards. So I play the 2 Kaleido, 2 Mirror, and 1 Cycle. So the reason why I only play 1 Cycle, even though Cycle is technically one of the best ritual out of these 3, the reason why I only play 1 now is because Shirida is banned, and really, Kaleidoscope is the one that gets your plays going. Mirror is the one that can tribute off Benton, and a Colossal is in the graveyard to special summon, to ritual summon a Trishula. And Cycle, I rarely use it because all I use it for most of the time is I maybe discard Brio to the graveyard and then use Cycle to get Brio back by tributing Benton and then proccing off Benton's effect to search for Manju. But otherwise, it's not really that useful right now. If Shirt were to be unbanned from the ban list, I would definitely play this more because it's actually really good. It's like Monster Reborn for Nekroz. But as of now, it's not that good. So, because we do play the Herald of Perfection, we have access to Preparation of Right. This is basically a Pot of Greed. It's really good. So not only do we get access to Herald, but we will also have our own Pot of Greed. This doesn't work on Nekroz cards because it doesn't specify a name in its spell card. This is why we have to run Herald of Perfection in order to be able to use this. So this is really good as well. And 3 Preparation of Rites because this is also a Pot of Greed and it works for Nekroz cards. And we have 2 Dawn of the Herald. I play 2 Herald of Perfection, so I play 2 Dawn of Herald. This is actually a really good ritual card because whatever you send to the graveyard as a ritual summon, which most of the time it's going to be Benton, you get to basically banish this card and return the Benton back to your hand. That's really good because not only do you get a ritual summon for free, you actually get to proc Benton's effect and then take Benton back from the graveyard to the hand. So this is really good. So this is basically all of the cards for my deck, and as I said, I can actually trish our opponent twice, and these are my new addition in the deck. So I play one Deep Sea Diva, and of course if Deep Sea Diva, then I have to play some Sea Serpent to go along. So Deep Sea Diva, if I normal summon her and special summon Sea Dragonia, the reason why I picked this is because the other ones are really bad. There's not much Sea Serpent level 3 in the game that are pretty good. This one at least have a 2100 defense, and so if I decided that I have a bricky hand, I can at least set this and hope that it can defend sometimes, and that's why I play. So if I have a useless Manju that I protected from Volk from last turn, I could basically normal summon this, special summon this, and then it's instant Trishula, because 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 9. And this is why it's actually really good to run Deep Sea Diva, because the only monster I have is usually 4, Manju. And Gishki Fission, if in case I draw this, and when I summon this, I cannot special summon this because I can only special summon from the deck, then I can also get Fission. And Fission is really good because it's sort of like a pseudo Shurit. We don't have Shurit, and this basically, if I ever need to ritual summon something but I don't have the resource in my hand, I can just normal summon Deep Sea Diva, special summon Gishki Fission from the deck, and I can basically use this as a tribute fodder for my ritual summon. Because Gishki Fission can be used as a ritual summon for any level for water ritual monsters. So that's why this is really good. And another combo that I run is Damage Juggler and the 2 Hat Triggers. So this actually makes Trishul even easier to get, because if somehow Damage Juggler gets sent to the graveyard, if you don't have Falk in hand, this actually, by the way, can actually negate one of the damage. So if they decide to try to OTK you can actually just drop this and you take no damage. And once this is in the graveyard, I can banish it and search for any Perform Mage. So in this case, I'll search for Hat Tricker. And basically the combo is, if you summon Deep Sea Diva, use its effect, special summon Draconia, and then you could use Hat Trigger's effect because there are 2 monsters on the field to special summon this. This is instant Trishula as well, which basically makes this deck much more viable than just depending on ritual summon, because I always lose against people who just flip anti-spell fragrance and I just lose basically. But if I have these based on monster effect, it's actually gonna open some play. So I can actually use this and then special summon Trishula, banish the anti-spell fragrance, and I get my play going. So that's why I play these guys. These are just my engines, and that's a 40 card deck. So on to the extra deck. So because I do play Geldogra, then I have to play the 3 Herald of Arclight. Basically, Herald of Arclight is another Manju of the deck. You just send it either using Geldogra or using Kaleidoscope, and you basically get a free search for a ritual monster or ritual spell. Okay. So next up is, of course, Trishula. As I said, you can get this out using Deep Sea Diva, the combo I just mentioned. And basically the rest is just utility. We barely even use extra deck, so I'm first going to go through these 2. These are just basically level 12 and level 11 for your Kaleidoscope. Not much to say there. And the rest is just rank 4 to help make Exceeds play. So we got 1 Abyss Dweller. This is really good against any deck that uses Graveyard, so Burning Abyss, Cosmo. Good. Castel, just so I can shuffle back any cards. Baguska, sometimes when I don't really have the hand I like, because it's still a ritual deck after all, and with the lack of consistent plays that Nekroz used to have, sometimes when you don't have anything good, you can just sit with a Baguskan defense and sit there for 2 turns. Maybe by the time you draw one of your pre-prep or your preparation of rights, and then you can get your play started. So he's pretty good if you want to stall. And I got the Evil Storm Orboros. He's really good because I play Perform Mage Hat Triggers, so it's actually pretty easy to get 3 level 4s on the field. And this is basically a really, I think, out of any of the Exceeds I have, he's the only one that enables first turn play. Any of the other ones is reactive. It's based on, other than Baguska, this guy is the best first playmaker because you can basically choose from 3 of the effect. You can discard 1 card from your opponent's hand, which is basically what the plays you're gonna do if it's on the first turn. Otherwise, usually don't really get him out after first turn. He's just there so I can use him if I ever wanted to. And finally, we got the Utopia Lightning combo, just to beat over stuff like True Dracos. And that's it for my deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this.